Welcome to Leveling Up the Podcast with Alethia Tucker. I'm so happy that you're listening today. My goal is to bring something new, something promising. I plan to bring conversation, resources, and wisdom around the things that are holding us back from going for our best. We'll talk about everyday life and careers. I'll bring us dialogue designed to dig deep and identify our passions. We'll talk about the limits that you need to let go of and the promise that you need to grab a hold of. I'll interview women who bring valuable insight to the table. We'll have opportunities for Q&A, and we'll talk resources to help along the way. There are levels to this, and we'll hit them all, starting at the ground floor. We all have dreams, and now is our time to level up. Ground floor. You know, it's been several years since we were plagued by COVID. However, many of the things that happened during that time really still affect many people. We all know that we lost the lives of so many people because of how there was really no solution, there was no answer, there was no vaccine early on, and there was just no way of knowing how to treat people at that time. Not only did COVID, however, take the lives of people who were ill, but COVID really did stymie many people in the world, period. And it wasn't, like I said, just because of the illness, but because of what it did to the economy and how we all had to react. As you know, we could not go out, and when we finally did go out, we were wearing masks. But for a very long time, we weren't able to go into stores. We were doing things online. We were getting food delivered, and there were only certain companies, certain businesses, vital companies that were open, and many businesses went under. Some statistics came out around that time as well, or as a result shortly thereafter, of the effects that COVID had on the economy, and basically what people thought and how buying patterns changed and how service expectations changed. I know Accenture did a study and found that nearly 76% of people weren't as loyal to products that they were loyal to if they were going to get good service elsewhere, if they could get that product quicker. We became a lot more anxious, and we lost patience in many instances. And what has resulted because of that is we have really already turned into a society that was a microwave society all along, but we're even more so one now. We want everything quickly. We don't want to wait for anything. What is even more interesting from around that time period is that on the business side, if you did not learn how to adapt, chances were your company went under and there was no way to come back from it. That makes you think about what it is that you go through in life and how sometimes life really throws a curveball at you, and if you don't know how to adapt, there's a very good chance that you could go under and not survive. Those who knew how to bring in technology, for example, to handle things that their employees could not get in to handle. For example, that's when automated systems really became important, and them being able to answer phones and answer frequently asked questions that either personnel weren't able to do or were just inundated because they were getting so many calls and so many emails. What is it that you would do if you were thrown a real wrench in life? How is it? What plan do you have in place to bounce back? What I want you to know is that the bounce back is possible. So often we want to give up without really thinking that we stand a chance. I want you to know that you stand a chance with a backup. Always have a plan in place. Always know that you can overcome even the most difficult of circumstances with a little knowledge, with plugging into your journey, with relying on resources that you do have access to. So, your affirmation: when life throws me boomerangs and I feel like things will not ever be the same and I won't be able to survive this storm, I will know that I can plug into my resources, that there is hope, that there is a solution. It may not be the perfect one for me, but it is a one that will be perfect for the time that I have the situation occurring. I can rise above my circumstances even in the most dire of times, and I can be successful.
Main level.
Welcome to Leveling Up the Podcast, to a brand new season. I cannot tell you how excited I am to start up a new season. It's been easily 3 years since we started this podcast, and the goal was to help you to figure out what needs to be done to level up. We talk finances, we talk faith, we talk lifestyle, we talk career, we talk health. And we talk the things that, or we talk about the things that you need to do to get to the next level. So not only do I speak on these things just in podcasts on my own, but I bring guests who are going to be able to impart some knowledge that will definitely help you in going to your next level. Today is no different from any other time. I have a special guest with me today, and I'm so excited to have him with me. His name is Nadim Sammur, and he's originally from Dayton, Ohio, but now calls Houston, Texas home. He currently works in the asset management industry as a technologist, and he's a highly experienced motivational speaker with 15 plus years experience in public speaking. Nadim's focus is to empower his audience. He wants to empower them with the necessary keys to unlock the highest version that they can possibly be. He's the founder of For the Soul Culinary, where he's dedicated to improving the holistic health of people across the globe by educating and developing content based on his 4 pillars of holistic health: physical, spiritual, mental, and financial health. Please help me in welcoming Mr. Nadim Sammur.
Thank you so much for the warm introduction, Dr. Tucker. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you, Nadim. We've been working on this for a little bit now, so I'm really excited that we're finally going to kick this off, get you in here to share this wealth of information that you have. And I know that the audience is going to leave here the better for it. So I'm excited. I'm excited about what you do, what it is that you have been able to kind of develop a passion for, and what you're passionate about are things that are going to help us to get to the next level.
Yes, ma'am, most definitely. I'm really excited that we're able to make this happen. So I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I gave that formal introduction that, you have written and you probably submit when you have to do things. But I want you to tell me in your own words, tell me a little about yourself.
I'm assuming if you cut out a little bit for me, but I'm assuming that you asked me to tell you a little bit about myself.
Yes, I did. Yes,
Okay.
I did.
Wonderful. So as you mentioned, yes, I'm originally born and raised from Dayton, Ohio. I now call Houston, Texas home. I went to school in Indiana at Purdue, where I got my degree in Bachelor in Industrial Engineering and a minor in African American Studies. Shortly after, I started working in the consulting industry, but realized that that wasn't what I wanted to do. My wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, had an opportunity in Dallas, so we relocated to Dallas, and from there, I ended up launching For the Soul, which was something that I started in undergrad. At Purdue, there's not really too much diversity on campus, so I kind of took it upon myself to create meals that could reach the different audiences that may not be able to have home cooked meals at home. That then transitioned to me doing educational content, authoring 3 cookbooks, doing corporate demonstrations for cooking clients, being a head chef on a food truck. And it was a wonderful year where I got to explore and really flex my entrepreneurial skill sets. However, I realized during that time off that I had a true passion for the financial services industry, and then began to pursue my background in engineering, bridging it into the finance space to then pursue a career in asset management, where I am now as a technologist. Outside of those things, my free time, I enjoy, outside of cooking, obviously, and working, I enjoy boxing. I enjoy reading. I used to play basketball, so that was a big hobby of mine throughout the years. And just spending time with my wife.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, listen, you told me a lot of things right there. My goodness. So, did I hear you say your background is in engineering? Is that what you went to school for? You went to college. You're an engineer.
Yes, ma'am.
By training.
Yeah. By training.
By training. And then somewhere along the line, you said, hey, I want to do something else with this. And I want to kind of pull in some things that I know are important to me, and some things that are fun, it sounds like, and some things that are going to be able to help some other people. So tell me a little more about that story. So out of college, did you start in the engineering field, or I'll let you just tell me, how is it that you kind of matriculated from one place to the next?
Of course. Well, so it kind of starts before I graduated from school. I really became keen in the markets in the financial services industry in about 2017, 2018. A little bit of background about myself. I grew up in a single parent household I'm an only child. My mother passed away when I was 16, and I remember 2 weeks after she had passed, I went to the grocery store to try to buy groceries, and I didn't have enough money to buy groceries. And as a 16-year-old kid, it's just like, well, what do you do? And I remember sitting in the car, crying like I had never cried before, and I was like, I'll never feel like this again. And so I kind of made it my mission at that point to learn everything that I could about money. And it was actually very fascinating to me. And so when I was thinking about what potential career paths look like, I was like, well, I've been studying the market. This is an interest I've had since 2014. And I started really doing a deep dive in it about 2017, 2018. Why not make a career out of it? And even some of my coursework, even though I was an engineering major, some of my coursework did require investment analysis. So it's like, okay, so I have the skill sets and the critical thinking skills to bring this talent into the industry. From then, it was just figuring out how to translate these transferable skills in a way that were applicable to what I wanted to do. And I'm still on that journey, right, of figuring out what it is that I ultimately would like to do in the industry, but at least being able to get a foot in the door, leverage my background to get to where I want to go. And essentially, that was kind of the route that landed me into the financial services industry with the engineering background.
Wow, what a story. Wow. I frequently hear, in doing this, I hear all types of reasons why people do the things that they do and what kind of influences them. And it sounds like you had a real pivotal point. Sounds like shortly after your mom passed away, where you were just really convicted and you said, I'm not going to be in that predicament again. And, a lot of people go into certain careers or pursue certain things because they are really trying to make things better, and get away or move away from something that has been painful. So I appreciate you sharing that, because I can also hear how it kind of helped you to launch into where you are now and into what you do. So, and as I mentioned to you before, many in my audience are women, and a lot of them deal with similar situations as what you've been dealing with, this whole single family portion of it. And, mainly I hear a lot from the perspective of the mothers who may have had a spouse who passed away. So it's definitely encouraging. I know it will be encouraging for those listening to hear how you're able to kind of use some of the traumatic things to get you to the place where you want to be and where you are now. So that is great. So tell me a little about what you are doing now. I know that you're doing some cooking and you're in the financial literacy realm. Tell me more about that.
Of course. Well, when I first started off, I knew I had this gift for cooking. And so that's how For the Soul launched. And it was strictly focused on cooking. It wasn't even I'm a plant-based chef within that context. And so at first it wasn't even doing any plant-based cooking, it was just cooking videos and cookbooks. But what I realized was that there was another area that I wanted to flex as well, which was this concept of how what we eat does impact how we think. It impacts our mental, it impacts our physical, it even impacts the way that we spiritually connect to God. And being able to tie all these different things together was very kind of a jarring experience for me, because like I have this skill set here in cooking. I know that I have a lot of interest and experience within the spiritual realm, and then also too I work in the financial services industry. How can I bridge all this together? And so that's where I was fortunate to be able to kind of overarch my brand to not just be cooking, but also focus on holistic health and wellness, so I could be able to flex all these different muscles and talents that I have under one pillar of holistic health. So that has led me now to, outside of speaking and doing some speaking engagements, helping to promote holistic health and wellness and share my story and my experience. I even had an opportunity where I secured a government contract with the Houston Independent School District to teach financial literacy to underserved middle school students in the area.
How awesome is that? Oh my goodness. That is not a small thing to do. That's a major accomplishment. That's wonderful. And to be able to do that in the school system, to start them, to start out when they're young, so that as they reach the mature age as an adult, they will be able to kind of go back and pull from things that they already know. 100%. I mean, you never know enough, but this is a great foundation that you're providing them.
And for me, it's all about planting a seed, right? I knew people that my pastor was the one who planted my pastor, and then one of my godparents planted the seed of financial literacy in me. And so even my grandparents as well from a young age. So seeing that, just seeing how they planted those seeds in me and how it blossomed, you just never know what seed that you're going to plant in somebody, how it's going to matriculate in their life. So with these 8th graders, it's like, hey, I'm not expecting you guys to get the whole thing right now, but if I could just plant a seed for you to continuously learn more, even after we leave the shared space, that's ultimately what it's all about for me.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Plant the seed. That's what we need to do. Plant a seed and watch it grow. Plant the seed and watch it go. Now, you talk about holistic health and wellness. You recently did an article for Campus Rebel, very well written article. I'll be sure to include the link for that in the notes for this podcast. And in there, you said, my journey into this work has been anything but linear. And I think we've heard you talk about that already. Blending experiences in finance, education, culinary arts, and community engagement to create a truly holistic offering. So tell me more about that. Tell me how you've kind of blended all of this into a holistic offering.
Yes, of course. Well, one of the things too that I'm also excited to announce, because I haven't made a public announcement yet, but I'll make it here. I actually have written another book. So I have 3 cookbooks, but I also have a book that's going to come out in August called Mind, Body, Money, and Soul: The Secret Recipe for a Lifetime of Prosperity, where it breaks down these 4 different pillars and how they intertwine. Also, too, not only how they intertwine, how you can maintain them after you build them up. And so what I like to teach people that come to me asking me for advice, or if I'm going to speak at different events, is it all starts with what we eat. Because what we eat ultimately has the capacity to, if we can elevate our physical, it then helps with our mental clarity. If our mental clarity is sharpened and our physical is clean, we can then be better aligned spiritually. We can hear God directly. We can trust the intuition that God has placed within us to guide us into certain spaces. From there, we always know provision follows purpose. So now that these other 3 pillars of your life are aligned, it now makes room for the abundance to come in. And when you get the abundance, you have to make sure that you're a good steward of it. So I kind of talk about how all these 4 different pillars intersect, and why it's important to keep them up and maintain them as you're going along the journey.
Wow, that is powerful. That is powerful and congratulations on the new book coming up. And I'm very happy that you have announced it here. So by the time this airs, it will be perfect. It will be right before your book comes out. Actually, it should be airing here in the next few weeks or so. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Congratulations. So tell me, I just heard you say this is your 4th book?
4th. Yes.
Wow.
3 cookbooks, and then this is the first traditional book.
Okay. Awesome. That is awesome. And do you want to give us just a sneak peek? You talk about the 4 pillars and you've talked about it a little. Give us a sneak peek of what my audience can get when they go out and purchase this book?
Of course, again, I don't like to over inundate people with information. So I wanted to make sure this is a practical guide, short, simple, and sweet to the point. It's no more than like 60, 70 pages, and you'll get everything that you need to get well along your way, but also tips that you can refer back to as you're kind of going across this journey as a checklist, rather. Saying, okay, if I met these different places physically, this is what I need to watch out spiritually as I go along this journey. If I change my eating habits, this is how it's going to impact my mind. This is how it's going to impact my spirit. And ultimately, how are all these things going to impact my finances? And as well, when it comes to the financial piece, just very specific general things that you can do in order to increase the abundance financially that you receive in your life. Because I truly believe that when you are spiritually aligned, it opens up the door for financial abundance. When you get the abundance, though, you have to be a good steward of it. You're faithful over a few things, you become rule over many, right? So that's the concept that I kind of pulled throughout the book. And even for those who are faith-based, I offer a lot of different scriptures that I've learned along the way that have been beneficial for me to kind of shape this path. So those are just kind of some of the things that you'll be able to get from purchasing the book and reading it.
I love that. I love that. And I guarantee you that a number of people are going to find it necessary to get this book. We're going to highly recommend that. I love the way that it's blending so much. We talk a lot here about body, mind, and soul. As a matter of fact, I have a conference coming up in October where we're going to focus on that. And that book hits on all of it. It brings in the faith piece. It brings in the body piece, the whole importance of making sure that you're healthy. It brings in mindset. It brings in all of those things. And it talks to an area where so many of us struggle, particularly in this day and age, where, from one day to the next, we don't know, what may come out politically. We may not know how things are looking financially. We may not, the whole budget and pay scheme that looks really volatile. And it's so important for us to be able to connect how finances really do have an impact on how we are, of course, how we live, but how we feel even physically. Because if we don't have the money straight, chances are we're not feeling so great, right?
Yes. That's another thing I talk about as well. It's just like, if you don't maintain one of these 4 pillars, the other 3 are bound to fall as well.
Yes, absolutely. So tell me the 4 pillars, because that's what I want people to definitely remember from this.
Mind, body, money, and soul.
All right. So the only thing that I didn't get in there was the mind, body.
The money.
Said money. I didn't put money in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important.
That is important.
And what's interesting is I do have someone coming in who's going to be talking finances too, Dr. Tabitha Russell. That is wonderful. That is absolutely awesome. So tell me this. So we get the book, and one of the things that we focus on, for example, is getting healthier. Sure. And I know that you say that is it a vegan cookbook?
So I do have vegan and non-vegan cookbooks.
And okay, all right. So both. So give me a good example of a meal or, something that we may want to follow, not just for a day, but, something we might want to do permanently that's going to help us to get in a healthier place. I just recently went on a whole huge health kick where I was able to lose about 60 pounds and cut out a lot of medication. And I really increased exercise, and I feel so much better. So this is something that is so passionate for me as well, because it took me so long to get here. Most of my life, I have been dealing with some kind of illness, and a lot of it is hereditary, but we often think it's because it's in the blood or what have you. But it's also because of habits that have passed down, 100%. Eating habits. Yeah. So tell me some things that you recommend we can do to get healthier.
And I will, but to that point, your DNA and your genetics are never an excuse. Ultimately, as you mentioned, it's your eating habits that will trigger those things to manifest your life, right? But if you take active steps, those particular issues may remain dormant and don't have to affect you. Some simple things I encourage Dr. Tucker, because everybody always asks me, is vegan the way? And I always tell people, no. You have to do what works best for your body.
Right.
It works best for me. It may not work best for some other people. But there's no drastic changes that people need to do to their diets in order to see results. One of the first things I tell people to do is eat with the sun. What does that mean? So morning time, when people are usually eating a huge breakfast, that's actually the time that your body is naturally detoxing itself. So from the hours about 8 a.m. to noon, you probably shouldn't be eating a heavy meal. If you're going to eat anything, it should be fruit and drinking a lot of water. When the sun is at its highest point in that afternoon area from like 12 to about 6-ish, that's probably when you should be eating your heaviest. Really about that maybe 3-4 o'clock area if you can. So usually for me, like my wife and I were like 4:35 just based off our schedule. But from that 12 to 8 window, 12 to 6 ideally, that's probably when you should eat your heaviest meal. And then when the sun goes down, you should be done eating. Done eating. So you should stop eating either at sunset or at least 3 hours before you go to bed.
Okay.
Allow your food time to digest, but you also get a chance to move around a little bit so that you're not going to sleep on a full stomach. The second tip and trick that I'll also give is even something simple as just walking for 10 minutes after you eat. If you can't go on a walk for 10 minutes after you eat, just do maybe just do 20 or 30 body weight squats right in front of your chair. Just type of movement after you eat so that the food is not just sitting there, but you're actually moving. And you'll be surprised by just incorporating those two things, you'll see drastic results. And the third and final tip that I'll give, and this is not my own work, and I'm not a sponsor for this brand, but there is a book called The Glucose Revolution, which I 110% stand by. It gives simple tips and tricks without making drastic changes to your diet to help you lose weight. And I even saw the benefits of it for myself. So again, even if you just eat with the sun and just move after you eat, I promise you, you will see a drastic change in your weight or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish in your health.
Wow, that's great. Wonderful advice. And this is confirmation for me as well. Glucose Revolution, my daughter has been singing the praises of that book. Yes, I have to go get that book. Our family has a history of diabetes. As a matter of fact, I am technically a diabetic. However, I've gotten off of most of the medication and I'm down to something, just almost weekly that I have to do. However, what we started to see in my children who are now adults, young adults, is their A1C, which measures, the whole blood sugar level, was starting to elevate and go into that borderline area. So they then became interested in making sure that, of course, they didn't go into the lane that mom and many of her family members went into. And one of the things she did was to get this book. She's changed her diet, as has my son. And they're really pretty vigilant about making sure that they never cross over into that, full blown or even into that borderline diabetes phase, because, once you kind of go over that, then things become a lot more difficult to control. Not that they can't be controlled, but but it does become more difficult. So thank you for sharing that. And I will definitely remember everything that you've said. So don't eat until the sun is about midday or so. Most of your eating needs to take place in that 12 to 5, 6 p.m. time frame. Okay.
Yes. And after 8 p.m. or after the sun goes down, don't eat anything.
Okay. Got it.
It's time in the morning.
Got it. Great advice. I love that. All right. So we've talked diet. Now tell me a little on the financial literacy side.
For sure.
What are some things that if my audience listens to us and they walk away from this podcast, what tips will they have heard to get financially healthy? What tips can they walk away and immediately implement to get financially healthy?
Tips that they can take away immediately to get financially healthy. That's a wonderful question. If I had to think about the first one, it would just be understanding your relationship with money and actually healing from it. I realized I had a lot of deep-seated trauma when it came to money where I felt like I had to hold on to it like this. But I learned that the tighter you hold on to something, the higher chance it has of running away from you or leaving you, right? So one of the things I encourage is you don't want to oversave. The accountant, I was in a place where I was saving every single dollar that I could, and ended up getting a decent amount, but then ended up losing it all, right? Just because I ended up leaving my job and having to take a year to kind of figure out business and what my next step was. So all that money I saved, I ended up having to give right back, right? So it made me realize a couple of things. One, money comes and money goes, and that's okay. So try not to oversave. Always, you should be a good steward of it. As soon as you get money, I always tell my students there's 3 key things to making more money in life, and that's value, management, and give. How are you adding value? If you can add more value into the ecosystem, that's the more money that you're going to bring in. Talk about stewardship with management. The money that you do get, are you being a good steward of it? And then 3, give. So I always do 10%, but if there's some other percentage that works best for you, I always also tell my students that the first 2 things that you should do whenever you receive any type of money is to express gratitude. So as soon as you express your gratitude, the first thing that I say that you should do is give. After you've given whatever percentage that you're going to give, there should be an automatic percentage that is automatically putting away into some type of investment or savings vehicle. Those are some of the quick actionable steps that I follow. And I know that some people may find it hard to do at the beginning. Like, dang, as soon as I get something, I have to give some of it away. But I can honestly say the number one key that has helped me elevate the amount of money that I've been able to receive is by consistently giving no matter what.
Awesome. Consistently giving. And, a lot of what I do is based on my faith. And that 10% for me is the tithe that I give to the church. So that is a part of that giving back. But like you said, however it is that you decide that you want to give, the important thing is that you give.
Yes.
And it's critical to do that. And interesting, you said don't oversave.
No.
Don't oversave.
I can expound on that one a little bit more.
I want to hear a little more on that.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, you want to be a good steward of your resources, but money is like water. You need currency, liquidity, bank, right? All these are like water terms. So money is constantly flowing, right? It needs to be circulated. And if you are hoarding something, you are not allowing new to come in, right? So you're just hoarding on to old, and eventually it's going to run out if you are not allowing it to flow, allowing it to circulate. So I always tell people, 1, for that reason why you shouldn't oversave. 2, we know that inflation is a thing. The value of your dollar is decreasing day by day. And the more money, an example I was actually listening to the other day was about during the American Revolution, where they started utilizing a continental Congress type of currency, right? And people were holding on to these dollars, but then after a certain point, those dollars became obsolete. And the same is true if you hold on to physical currency. Now, I believe that you should have some emergency funds set aside, but this should be, I always tell people you shouldn't have more than $10,000 in a regular savings account set aside. Everything else should be invested, because that value of that money is decreasing day by day. And who's to say that if something were to happen and the money system that we currently operate under goes obsolete, you're left holding these bills that are now worth nothing? What are you going to do? Versus if you have the money in stuff that's actually worth something, say for instance, real estate, stocks, bonds, whatever the case might be, some gold, cryptocurrency, whatever it is that you're into, those are still going to have value, even if the dollar is no longer void or no longer in circulation or being used for a means of exchange. So that's why I always tell people, don't oversave, because for those exact reasons, inflation, you never know what could happen to the monetary system. And it's happened before, so it doesn't mean that it can't happen again. And 2, you always want your money working for you so they can bring and recruit more dollars into your life.
Wow. That's awesome. I like that. I'm glad I asked you to break that down a little further. That makes perfect sense. Money is like water. Yeah.
It's like water.
It's like water. My goodness. Well, hold on for just a second for us, Nadim. We're going to take a quick break here for a sponsor to tell us a little more about a product that we definitely want to hear about. Dr. Alethia Tucker here at the Miss Corporate America competition, of course representing Maryland, Miss Corporate America, but also here for Sirius XM. It has been an absolute joy interviewing the queens, interviewing the participants, interviewing all of the people who have been coming across here and who have been dedicated to making sure that this event goes off in tremendous style. It has been an absolutely wonderful weekend. Listen, I want you to know we are recruiting for Miss Corporate America 2026 in Maryland. We're crowning somebody nationally tonight, but I am also looking for my next Maryland queen. And I ask you, if you're interested, make sure that you go to MCA Maryland. So go visit our site, marylandmisscorporateamerica.com. Tune into one of the info sessions, and I'll tell you all about how you too can be here next year. All right. All right, and welcome back. We are getting to the point where we're going to have to start wrapping the stuff up here with Nadim. This has been an awesome episode. It's kicking us off in our new season of Leveling Up the Podcast. Nadim, why don't you tell us what you have coming up? What's going on with you right now?
Ooh, of course. So the main things that are going on right now, I just finished doing a partnership with Black Men Buy Houses here in Houston, an initiative to help improve home ownership rates within the Black community, specifically here in Houston, but it's been starting to grow on a national scale. So looking to further my involvement with them moving forward. Also, too, as I mentioned, the book is going to come out in August. So getting all hands are on deck for getting ready for the launch of that.
Yes.
And very excited to see how that's going to go. But outside, those are really the two main areas of focus right now on the business front. On the personal front, MBA applications. So looking at business school and taking the next step in that regard.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations. And I know that you will do incredibly well. Tell us how we can reach you, how we can stay in touch. So tell us a little about social media and then how we can reach you if we want to hear more about financial literacy or your holistic health platform. And more definitely, we want to hear about how we can get that book come August.
Yes, of course. So if you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at chef_SMOOVE, you'll see all the updates. You can find recipes, you'll get life lessons on there. You can access my cookbooks, past speaking engagements and interviews that I'm done, and as well as up-to-date information on everything that I'm doing, whether it be in the community, as well as new book launch information. So those are the two main platforms that you can find me. You are on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Nadim Sammur, pretty straightforward on that platform as well.
Awesome, Nadim. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. Again, I know this is something that my audience is definitely going to be able to use. And I look forward to that cookbook and to implementing some things that you told us to do, things that I'm going to walk away from here today and actually implement. And the biggest one for me is going to be to make sure to not eat anything past 8 o'clock.
Yes.
That's going to be the biggest thing for me. All right, Nadim, thank you so much for being with me today. Again, I greatly appreciate it. I wish you well. We will definitely keep in touch.
Yes, most definitely.
Come back and maybe we'll do something special. We'll do a cooking show live or something. Be interesting to kind of do that virtually, but hey, it can be done. We can definitely do it.
To your point, so part of what I do on the culinary arm of my business is I do virtual cooking demonstrations for corporate clients. I've done it before, so we can definitely do it.
Hey, we'll talk more, definitely. And we'll put information down so that if anyone is interested in doing that on the corporate level, they'll know how to reach you as well.
Yes, most definitely. Those platforms are good to reach me for that as well.
Okay, great. All right, well, hold tight for just a second as I wrap things up here. All right, so we have been with Nadim Sammur today, and he has told us and spoken with us and really deposited some gems. Be sure that you follow what it is that he has recommended. Go and link with him on social media so that you can get access to his books, find out when the new one's coming out, and also what he's got going on that revolves around his 4 pillars, where he talks about holistic health, and talks about finances and just the things that we need to do to be healthy. As I always say as we end, make sure that you go out and be authentically yourself. Know that you are the best version of you out there. So don't go trying to be anybody else. We need who you are and what you bring to the world. Thank you. I promise each time that you sit your ears here, each time that you feast your eyes on this, you will leave with some tips that are going to help you to get to the next level. Thanks for tuning in today.
The Loft.
Biggest thing for me. There's something else that, and either you can just, give this to us and we'll put it in the notes. And by the way, everything that you've said here about your social media handles, as well as how we can connect with you, I will definitely put in the notes for the podcast so that our audience will be able to see that as well as hear it. Any resources that you would recommend? And of course, you can definitely recommend your books, but anything else that you would recommend that would help my audience to level up?
Yes, of course. As I mentioned at the very beginning of the podcast, I'm an avid reader. And so what I figured was I might as well just open my reading collection to the public. So if you follow me on these platforms, you can also click on my link tree and it will take you to an Amazon library of all the books that I've read or I'm going to read that have helped me level up in my personal life. So definitely highly recommend checking that out and checking out the books that I have in that library and seeing which ones spark your interest. I know they have been very transformative in my life, and I'm sure that they'll do the same for your listeners.
Great. So you heard that. You have to go follow him on social media. Get to his bio with that link tree and be able to click on there and see his library of books that he recommends.
Yes.
All right, Nadim, thank you so much for being with me today. Again, I greatly appreciate it. I wish you well. We will definitely keep in touch.
Yes, most definitely.
Come back and maybe we'll do something special. We'll do a cooking show live or something. Be interesting to kind of do that virtually, but hey, it can be done. We can definitely do it.
To your point, so part of what I do on the Culinary arm of my business is I do virtual cooking demonstrations for corporate clients. I've done it before, so we can definitely do it.
Hey, we'll talk more, definitely. And we'll put information down so that if anyone is interested in doing that on the corporate level, they'll know how to reach you as well.
Yes, most definitely. Those platforms are good to reach me for that as well.
Okay, great. All right, well, hold tight for just a second as I wrap things up here. Okay, we've reached the end of the episode. Thanks so much for taking the time to listen. As you catch the elevator down, if you feel so inclined, rate, review, subscribe, and share with a friend. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Remember, every day is a new opportunity, and it's never too late to level up.